Welcome to the Art of Intelligence, where we decode the future of AI, one story, one use case, and one bold idea at a time. I'm your host, Barlas Yuce, inviting you to join me and industry leaders as we explore how artificial intelligence is reshaping our world from the boardroom to the classroom and beyond. Whether you're an innovator, a skeptic, or just AI curious, this is your front row seat to the real conversations and practical insights that's behind the buzzwords, and let's paint the bigger picture together. Hello, Rachel Schaeffer. We lucked out today by having Rachel on with us. So, just so everyone's aware, this is Rachel Schaeffer, and she is a fantastic person that I've met along my journeys into tech and AI. Rachel's a senior technology leader at Concentrix and is currently serving as vice president of sales for CX Tech and CX Partners, former managing director of global partnerships. She brings more than 10 years of experience in technology and partnerships spanning the IT, software, healthcare, and CX industries. And before her VP role, she guided Concentrix global alliance strategy, cultivating relationships with hyperscalers such as AWS, Salesforce, and Microsoft, and integrating strategic AI initiatives into CX transformation networks. So, Rachel, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and happy Monday.
Thank you. It is a great Monday, and it's very, very beautiful. Good, bad, everything fantastic.
It's been a little bit of a overwhelming, triple booked with meetings kind of a Monday morning, if you know what I mean.
Rachel, thanks for having the time with us to join this podcast. My first question, as is to all my guests, is a little bit of a tongue in cheek, but very nice. If you could have any job on the planet for 1 year to do all the good or bad that you wanted, what would that job be?
So I wanted to always be an attorney growing up, a trial. So that was my thing. I was going to go to University of Penn. I was going to go to law school. And I thought that it would be cool because if you're a trial attorney, you're essentially in sales, like you're selling the case to the jury. So I feel like I've been involved in sales at a very integral, very early age. And so that's what I wanted to do. However, dream job for a year would probably be a horse trainer and ride
Mm,
horses. Like if I could get paid for that. But realistically, Barless, there's not a lot of people that have that talent to actually be able to make a good amount of money being a horse trainer. But that would be my job. I would probably, for a year, I would split time between running a few charities and training horses.
that's a great answer. I've seen you on horses on your LinkedIn, and I think we're friends on Facebook. But yeah, I see you always riding horses. Has that been a passion of yours for a while?
Yes, since I was a little girl, I used to shovel horse crap to pay for my riding lessons because we didn't really grow up. I didn't grow up with like oodles and buckets of money laying around. I did not come from an equine family, so I had to do what I had to do to be able to ride, and I just never outgrew it, much to the unhappiness of my bank account and my husband. But it is what it is. It keeps me
It's
sane, but
fun.
I sprained my ankle this summer, so I haven't been riding a lot lately. Going a little crazy, but yeah, yeah.
Are your kids also into the equine?
Yes, my daughter, who is 30, soon to be 31 in February, still
You have a
rides.
31-year-old
My
old daughter.
husband
Wow, I would have
too,
never
yeah.
guessed that.
Thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere, Barless.
Mhm.
But yeah, so our kids all ride, the girls all ride, and it's a lot of fun. Now, my husband's daughter doesn't ride a lot now. She's second year in college, at University of Tampa, living her best life. But at one point, we were all fun.
Wow, that sounds like a great life that you've created for your family. Kudos. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So let's get into who is Rachel. Can you? I mean, we've got the LinkedIn and all of that stuff that talks about what's going on with everything. Can you talk to us a little bit about why tech? How'd you get into it? Were you always a lover of technology? And I know that you talked about wanting to be a trial lawyer, but what changed from that into technology?
Yeah, so I made an early entree into the finance world. So life before tech, I was in the residential and commercial financial industry. At one point, I was vice president of business development for a financial planning firm. So I really enjoyed and had a passion for helping people financially. I started off as a loan officer and then grew to running companies nationally and then went into financial planning. And at one point, I had my business development company. I had a lot of ties into the commercial and residential real estate market. And when the bubble burst in 2007 to 9 ish, you want to say, I was not prepared for it. Just speaking very candidly, I thought the money was never going to end and I didn't have a lot of savings. And I mean, I'm very honest with you and with whoever is watching, who cares, that I made some really bad financial decisions despite being in the financial industry. It was like the shoemaker's kid. And so I lost everything. I had to file bankruptcy. I was taking care of my parents. I was a single mom. And I wanted to get into an industry that was recession resistant. I'm not going to say recession proof, excuse me, but kind of recession resistant. So I thought that healthcare IT was probably a good place to start and go into. So in about 2011, I started entry level at a company called Dr. First selling online e-prescribing to doctors, literally cold calling doctors' offices and selling online e-prescribing right when it was starting to come to the market. And so that's how I got into tech. And I spent the first 8 years of my tech space life in healthcare. I was healthcare specific, hospitals, doctors, pharma, life sciences, everything. Secure document exchange, EHR, I managed EHRs, and that was kind of my entree into the tech space. And then in 2019, I started working at In Contact. Well, before that, I was at Presidio. I spent some time, I was still in healthcare. But in 2019 is when I really started being very specific to developing my expertise around CX and CCAS, and then was no longer healthcare verticalized. So that's kind of a little bit of the background of my journey into healthcare. I loved selling CCAS. I did it for a couple years at In Contact, and then my scope and roles grew. And then, as you know, I developed the AWS partnership for a company before I came to Concentrix, and I have a love for partnerships, and I think it dovetails usually pretty nicely with sales. So there are certain people that kind of straddle both sides of that fence, which I think is necessary to be a success in this space and, to understand partnerships just as much as sales and vice versa. And so that's kind of what led me to where I am today. I spent a couple years at Concentrix guiding the global partnership strategy and then wanted to come over to sales to help execution.
That's a great journey, and not an unheard one, right? There's a lot of folks that have been in a similar situation. I back in that exact same timeline that you were a loan officer, I was a loan officer, ruining the world, one little old lady at a time at Countrywide Mortgage doing reverse mortgages, and
My God, wide
yeah,
mortgage. Wow.
yeah, yeah, I'm not proud of it. I didn't enjoy, but I thought I was going to make some money, but I think they paid me $17,000 a year, and then commission. It was ridiculous. But I got into tech, and I started off at Forrester Research in a very similar way, bottom of the bottom, making. I was assigned to account executives, and my job was to get them to talk to CIOs of large companies to sell them a password to Forrester Research, which was tough in itself.
Wow.
So that's where I got started. So very, very similar ways. And I'm sure the most burning question that everyone has that's watching this right now is, where did you go wrong with the Eagles? Like, why did the Eagles become your favorite team? Because I know that's integral to who you are. Because since we've met,
Ah,
you've been an Eagles like, yeah, and I'm like Cowboys, and you're like, no.
oh, Barlas. I wish you hadn't reminded me that you were a Cowboys fan or a Cowgirls fan, I should say, because then I potentially could have declined this invite. But I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so I've been an Eagles fan pretty much my whole life. And they they were off to a shaky start this year. I don't know. They were last year too, and somehow we won the Super Bowl. And yesterday, I feel like I know just somehow we managed to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, if I heard three-peat one more time, I think I was gonna vomit during Super Bowl season. But anyway, so that's it. That's how it came to fruition, and it is an integral part of my life. If you look at my LinkedIn, my intro, it literally summarizes what's important to me. It's family, horses, boating, Eagles, try to play pickleball, and then giving back from a charity perspective. I mean, that's literally the snapshot of me in one couple words.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I always love, no matter what the team, I always love it when people are actually really enjoying their team, not just being a fair weather
Yes.
person, right?
Yeah.
Like as much as people don't like the Cowboys, we haven't won really anything since the last century, and because of that, it's tough to be a Cowboys fan. But I always am a Cowboys fan, which I like it when I see that in others as well. But we're not here to
Well,
talk about football, so let's make sure that we don't go down because I think we could probably end up yelling at each other one way or another when it comes to football
oh my
and the
gosh.
Eagles. I do have
Well,
some great
one other
questions for you.
thing,
Yeah, go ahead.
before you jump into your questions, I will just add one other caveat that I think for those that are watching and thinking about building their personal brand and that kind of thing, not that that's what this is about, but I mean, like, be true to yourself. And on LinkedIn, I do post personal stuff and then I post business stuff because I think people really want to know who it is that they're working with
I
from
agree.
a personal perspective, right? So don't be afraid to once in a while post about your favorite team or whatever charitable event you're doing this month or quarter, because I think people like to understand who they're working with. That's just my other unsolicited feedback tip of the day.
I love your unsolicited feedback. It's so true. I think that more people need to make business more human than it really is. It doesn't need to be all business and cold. But that brings me to a question. So you've spoken at many AWS Women of the Cloud events. How do you see the conversation about women in AI leadership evolving?
So I think there's still a lot of work that has to be done in tech in general. I cringe when I see pictures on LinkedIn of like 12 guys in a room, and it's like, really, guys? Like, it's 2025. Like, come on. You can't find one or two women that can add some value to this picture and meeting and conversation. And the same thing with panels and events. If there's like a six all male panel up there, it's like, ew. I mean, it's just ew. So I think there's still a lot of work that has to be done. I think that women, whether it's AI specific or tech in general, eh, I mean, we add a lot of value. We have a different perspective. We have different emotions, and it's just I think we still need to do better. There's just still a lot of work that has to be done, but I think there are brilliant women in the space, and I know someone, her name is Chloe Duckworth, and I don't know if you know her, Barless, but she would be a fantastic person to talk to. She's got some, like, really revolutionary AI company, and it's the one thing that I've seen recently that has gotten me really excited. It's like, wow, this is truly different. Because honestly, a lot of the AI stuff we hear, and you probably hear it too, it's noise. There's
So true.
so much AI. There's so much agentic AI. It's da 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 da. Why are you different from Salesforce? Why are you different from these other companies? What has you stand out? And honestly, a lot of companies sound the same. They sound like they used to do the same darn thing. So when you come across a company, and this is not a Chloe infomercial, by the way,
I'm happy
and
to
just
have
for
her on one of my guests. I
no,
would love to.
she's brilliant. And by the way, for those watching, like, this is totally unscripted. Barlas did not send me questions 2 weeks ago for me to prep. So this is literally, and I'm better at just kind of flying off the cuff anyway, because if I over prepare, I'm terrible. And I know there's people that like to over prepare, and I'm not one of those people. Anyway, so that's the kind of stuff that I love seeing. I love seeing women-owned AI companies that are kicking ass. Like, they're just coming out swinging. That to me is super exciting about the industry.
Love it. That's a great answer. So we'll definitely get Chloe on for the next podcast if possible. Now, going back to Concentrix, CX has always been a thing that I've loved to talk about with people because customers are the only way you're going to make any money, right? So, um, Concentrix today is a global leader in CX and AI innovation. Can you tell us a little bit more about the trends that you're seeing when it comes to CX and AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of talk around how AI can help reduce costs. Like, that's nothing new, and I'm sure you've heard that over and over again. I think where we're really starting to see the shift is, how can we use agentic AI to not only help reduce costs and improve efficiency and all the normal buzzwords you normally hear, but how do you truly improve the customer experience, and how do you turn it into into revenue generating? So instead of it falling into the cost center side of the house of, oh, we're saving, 8% average handle time because of these 3 widgets, and it's affecting our bottom line by 10 million a year. How can we use it to say, not only are we doing this, but in parallel, we are also increasing revenue, and we are able to take this cost center into a profit center because we're using AI very intelligently. So I think these are some of the market trends that we're seeing, and that we're having those conversations with our customers about. And we're 430,000 agents, so we are trying to, what we do is we are working internally. How do we improve our own efficiency? How do we increase our own profit centers for our clients, and then rolling that out to our clients? So it's a little different, and I almost venture to say a little bit more proven than a company that sits behind their desk saying, "Hey, we have all these AI services and we can help you with it. Oh, but we've got 5 people in my basement and we don't really know how effective it is." You know what I mean? So we have a little bit of a different approach, and I think that's what's pretty cool about the people that work with us, is because they know we have the data behind us of hundreds of thousands of agents across multiple disparate systems, and how do we stitch it together efficiently, and then how do we help our customers do the same. So that's kind of what we're seeing, is not only cost center, but how do we switch it to profit center?
It's awesome. There's nothing worse than hearing the words, we are AI enabled. And that just means they have a Perplexity Pro license. It's like, how are you enabled? Oh, well, we use AI for everything and it's integral into everything that we do. Okay, well, what is it that you use it for? Well, we have a Perplexity Pro license for every one of our sales folks. And it's like, that's not really AI enabled. But I digress. And, that's something that I have an issue with. Can you give us a little bit more about how Concentrix maintains human empathy and brand identity, kind of like while integrating more autonomous systems into the customer experience? We've talked about this before with past guests where, the CX has to meet the empathy, the EX, if you will, of being able to handle not only what people are thinking in their own country, but understanding that there's a difference between what happens in US culture and what happens in, let's say, an APJ culture.
100%. And actually, at our leadership event, was it this year or last year? My brain is a little mushy this morning, but we actually, our
Probably the
CEO
hat.
Chris,
It's the hat.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, it could be, it could be. Although we did win yesterday, 5-2, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. But um, our CEO Chris Caldwell had all of us as leaders read a book called The Culture Map, and it was very eye opening for me at least, I mean, I'm half Filipino. I have insight into I'd say I have some very good insight in how the Filipinos behave and act and how they like to be addressed and how they work with people. And then and maybe some Latin America just because I've spent some time there. And so it just was very eye-opening that there are different people in different I mean, obviously different people in different parts of the world, they operate differently, they feel differently, they show reaction and emotion differently. There's some that are matter of fact and they're not emotional, and then there's others that are very emotional and less kind of direct. And so that I thought was very eye-opening for I know for our leaders, then we cascaded that down to our team. But we've got a lot of tools in place, some of our own IP. We have a whole suite of AI products called IX. And some of the things that we do are we help our game changers, we surface information as they're on the phone, just in case maybe you know how we all are, right? Maybe we can't understand or read someone on the other end of the phone's emotion. So we have tools in place that will help surface, hey, this is what's happening in the call. The customer sounds a little irate. Let's suggest this, or maybe you could talk about that. Or worst case, maybe it's just going to crap and maybe just have someone else involved and jump on the line and take over the call. So those kind of tools are in place to help coach people in real time on being sensitive to someone's feelings, and if that person's getting frustrated, whether it's the game changer's fault or not, it's just a way to help and supplement the already great technology we have, and our game changers are pretty freaking awesome. So we've got a lot of cool tools like that that help.
Fantastic. Jumping into what you're saying about that with Concentrix solving some information. I'm sorry if I'm peppering you. I don't know as much about Concentrix's products when it comes to AI as probably I should, but in the agentic operating framework, it emphasizes scaling AI beyond proofs of concept. What's been the biggest barrier for enterprises when it comes to AI, and how is Concentrix solving that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I don't think I'm going to say anything that we haven't already heard, or that anyone sitting here listening to this is going to be like, "Oh my gosh, we've never heard that before." But I think there's a couple different things. One, we have to have accurate data. You have to know what you're inputting in the system, and then how you need to change that data. What are you going to do with that data? And then there has to be a plan. There has to be an AI plan that can't just be, oh, wow, I want to buy this tool from XYZ company because it's so cool. And I heard it's going to do all these great things. If that company doesn't have a plan, what KPIs and metrics are going to move the needle for them? What do they want to what do they want to accomplish when they invest in this AI tool? If there's not a plan that's 3 to 5 years out, and then how we can work backwards using, hopefully, very good technology and people to arrive at that plan and satisfy those metrics and move the needle, it's all for nothing. I'm sure you've seen and heard that there's so many companies that spend tens of millions of dollars, but there's no freaking plan and they have crappy data. And so 6 months later, they're going to whoever said they wanted to purchase it saying, "Where's my ROI?" And there's no ROI, and people are pissed and they're scrambling around getting trained on stuff that no one wants to use. And so it can be really catastrophic. And so then you've got other companies that are like, all this AI stuff is great, but you know what, Rachel? We just want to get our table stakes working right. We want to have good workforce management. Oh, you have AI that can help make that better? Awesome. But really, there's some departments that are still on freaking spreadsheets. So you really have to be sensitive to where a company is in their AI journey. If you go to that company that's still on workforce management spreadsheets and start talking about something that's so far in advance that their eyes are going to glaze over, that's just not, there's a big disconnect there. So I think with Concentrix, we really take the time to understand where the company wants to be 3 to 5 years out, how we work backwards from that, how we can help them. We can do an assessment, a readiness journey mapping almost of their AI journey. But it's critical that a company does that for that is done in any AI journey, regardless of who you go with, whether it's us or somebody else. Like that, all of that work needs to be done. Or it's going to be miserable for everyone involved. And it's going to be a lot of time, money, and resources wasted.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Can you give us an example, maybe something that you've seen where an AI program has given some great ROI back without using, of course, the names of the companies, but maybe an example?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got, so we had oh my goodness, there's a lot of things that we are seeing. Um, High value, highly feasible type of items like real time article recommendations, non voice content correction, uplift assistance that can kind of develop and deliver real time personalized sales pitches. We have other things that we'll also weave in, like languages, translations. If you get a contract in LATAM, within seconds, you can translate it from Spanish to English. Did I say voice enabled interactive knowledge base? That's another one too. Um, and then there's things that are kind of more challenging to develop, like non voice suggested conversation bots, continuously improving the knowledge base, contact deflection, customer account consolidation. Like there's just a lot of different things that we're seeing that are probably the top use cases for AI to enhance efficiency and utilization. And then some of those outcomes are pretty substantial. Hold on, let me just pull something up here. So one customer we were able to do and work with, they were able to save 9.5% in estimated time savings and 15% of time savings with some calculated risks. 5 to $7 million of estimated annualized savings across our recommendations, and 2 to 3 million annual revenue generation potential. So that's just one customer, and that's just from us kind of working smarter with them and really putting into play, because I feel like people need those metrics
Yeah, they do.
and real solid, like tangible benefits. If you're just say, well, it's going to make your customers happy and your employees are going to have a more pleasant experience. That's great. That's a feel good thing that you do need to have. You do need to have a certain component of the feel good, but the people writing the checks and the people that are sitting here on a 14-hour day on a Friday implementing this new AI tool that you want to put in, they need to understand what the company is getting and how it's really impacting the bottom line.
Love that answer. Thank you for giving us real world examples. All right, so we've come to the portion of our call where we get, which is the reason why we have this podcast, where we get a specific, unique AI use case from you. Whether it's something that you've seen happen, something you're currently creating, or something you would like to see in the future that can help business make things easier or just save humanity. Do you have something along those lines for us?
I do. I don't know that it's necessarily Concentrix related though, but
Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
what I would love to see happen is I would love to be able to, first of all, I also want to also mention that I feel like AI has made me a little more dumb. Let's just be real. Just for as an example, MapQuest years ago used to have to print out. First of all, I'm so old. I had maps that I opened up in a one big square,
Yeah, me too.
and I used to have a really good sense of direction. And then MapQuest, and you had your pages that you printed. Then you had navigation. Now you have it on your phone, and we have Teslas and stuff. Now, like, I'm dumb. I can't if you plop me down in the center of a city, I'm like, "Where is my navigation? Where's my phone?" In that example, the technology that has developed around navigation and maps has made me dumb. I've lost my sense of direction just because technology has improved things. That's one example I'll give you. And I feel like I am concerned that we are in a generation the people kids going to college and they are doing homework and everything's on ChatGPT. They're not freaking learning. And what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years? These people are in a courtroom and it's like, "Hold on, judge. Uh okay, here's what I want to say." Like, or someone's operating on you. It's like, "Let me ask ChatGPT if this vein is supposed to be there." Like, that is something that I'm just putting out here that I just feel sometimes it makes me dumb. It really does. You rely so heavily on like, hey, summarize this meeting and tell me next steps and da da da. And Barlas, we come from the generation where we had to think about that stuff all by ourselves. This is like a whole new world, right? But one of the things that I'd love to see is me driving in my Tesla or whatever vehicle, and I'm on my phone, or push a button and say, "Hey Aura," or "Hey Gemini," or "Hey whoever, Alexa, schedule a 8 p.m. massage for 60 minutes, and then the next day schedule me a stretch lab appointment for 30 at 8 a.m." Boom, and they take action, and they're integrated, and they're linked, and they do stuff. That is the kind of stuff that I personally would love to see. That is just that technology, like that development, I mean, think of the time that it would save you. It would just save me so much time to log on, see what's available, make a phone call. Hey, massage place, do you have it? Like that is the kind of stuff that I'd love to see AI do in the future. Hopefully sooner than later.
More integration, more integration. Yeah, I hear you. It's the promise, but it's
Taking
not what's
action
happening.
without jumping through tons of hoops and having to log in and having to make phone calls.
Yeah, no, I love that, especially if you could call like a massage place and you say make an appointment for this time, and it reaches out to your favorite massage place that you've gone to the last 10 times and calls them and say, "Hello, this is Rachel Schaeffer's AI calling to make an appointment. Here's her information." "Oh, we don't have that available." "No worries. I'm going to call the place number 2." Like that kind of integration would be fantastic. I could definitely see that.
I think, and listen, I know Google Assistant is there, and I know it's doing some things, but it's I think it would just be super awesome when I can literally push a button in my Tesla and say, "Book these 3 appointments for me over the next 3 days." And then I need to do physical therapy for my ankle on Friday at 6 p.m. Is there availability? One thing I will just add, I know we're almost at time. My physical therapy company, I think, is probably one of the most futuristic offices I've been to lately, where there is a virtual assistant, the not a virtual person who's sitting in the Philippines, but you walk in, you check in on a monitor. This is the first time I've seen it. And they have a video, so you see each other, and you check in with your name and stuff, and they help you get situated with your next appointment and this and that. And I'll tell you, like, think of how much money that will save like a company here in just say the New York metro area, to have a person sitting at a desk full time at however much a year, call it 50 grand, 50, 55 grand a year, whatever it is, plus benefits, plus are they going to be sick or calling out or all these things, and then they have someone somewhere else virtually, whether they're in a different country or not, but it's just a very effective use of time. And then when that person's not interacting with a guest at the front desk, that person's maybe doing other things, turning things into a profit center, reaching out to orthos to see what patients they might have that need physical therapy. So I thought that was pretty cool too. Not exactly AI-ish, but more time efficiency.
I think it's all going that way one way or another, whether it be someone sitting in the Philippines or it just actually is an AI assistant that's doing it in some server in US East 1. So yeah, I hear you.
Yes.
Now we've come to the end of
I've
our day. Do you have anything that you'd like to add about Concentrix or yourself?
Well, I just one more thing to add is the other thing I'll say, and we've all experienced it, is do not like I'd rather a company does not have AI than that deploy bad AI. And we all have
Yeah.
seen it. You're running through an IVR 4 times and the AI is not getting it and they're not recognizing what you're talking about, that kind of thing. For the love of all that's holy, use your own AI as a customer and make sure that it's working well. That's the last thing I'll leave you guys with.
So is there anything that Concentrix doing? Any places that you guys are going to be events that's coming up that you'd like people to show up to?
Yeah, well, we just ended Salesforce. I'm going to be at Money 2020 next week in Vegas. And I will also be at Microsoft Ignite, I believe, and of course, reInvent, first week of December. Yay! Thanks, Barless. Good to see you, my friend. Sorry up this morning. I don't think Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you. Bye.